All right. Good morning. You are actually with me, Yusuf, the host of the Daily Money Market. Today is Friday, the last day of first week of September. We saw different things, in the market. We saw, the volatility that the market brings this month, even from the end of the last month. End of last month we saw the big BRICS having the conference in Johannesburg, and where they actually make a decision to add some of the countries so that it can have a BRIC plus. The most interesting story or news that actually come out on the breaks, it was the countries that were trying to to jump into BRICS, and there were a lot of countries, over 40 countries, including some of the countries here in Africa, trying to jump in the Brexit. So we saw one of the powerful countries added to BRICS. Countries like Saudi Arabia, United Emirates. I think we saw also Egypt added on that. Ethiopia, very interesting in terms of the Ethiopia, added on the BRICS. And a lot of people, they were asking why Ethiopia has to be added on actually on the BRICS. But to me, I think the position where Ethiopia it is, when you look at the geographic of Africa or of Indian Ocean, it's actually in the middle, that can combine trades from the Indian Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, and that's very very important to have that type of a hub, and whereby they can transport goods from one area to a different area. That's why we can see also US having the military force base in Ethiopia, is just because of that type of area, how Ethiopia has been, is actually, in terms of geographic and in terms of the global economic, when moving goods from one area to another via our oceans. So that was very very interesting. And in terms of Saudi Arabia and the United Emirates, we all know in terms of Saudi Arabia bringing the power in terms of the money. But the interesting part is that all these, they're going to start on January 2024 to be active member of a Brexit Plus. So that's also drives the market, very very powerful in terms of the bullish movement from the starting of the September, starting week of September. We saw a lot of volatility in terms of the US instrument, is because of the we having conversation of the dollarization of United States currency, which is a US dollar. So we saw different type of movement when it comes to Europe as well. We saw the eurozone dropping from the higher price where it was all the way down, just because of all these communication that were coming from Brexit. So coming from the first week of September, we actually saw the biggest news coming from China. China actually, surpassed the GDP numbers from actually, last month. That brings a little bit of very 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 volatility in the market, and that time, around first 2 days of the month, the dollar itself was actually losing power in the market. The dollar was not actually gaining, was dropping. If you look at the dollar index, it actually shows you that it was a little bit of depreciated on the first week of September, on the first week of September. So now, coming on at the end of the last week, that's where we saw the numbers in terms of the NFP, non-farm payroll from US, surpassed the estimated. That means they surpassed what they were estimating. They've been doing good. The industry itself is, they've been performing very very well. That's why they can be able to actually hire more people, and numbers of employment can be able to increase. From that, that's where we saw indices, or a dollar index, or indices like a US 30 moving all the way to to the highest of 35,107, which is a heist that it hasn't been there for very very long time, to get to that 35,216 or 35,130, somewhere around there. And also we saw Nasdaq going all the way high to the peak of 15,600. I remember the highest of Nasdaq, it actually 15,977. We're still looking to see if, I think, yeah, it once get to 16,000, but it was long ago. It was around December 2021. But this year, from last year to this year, we saw the highest that it got. It was 15,977, the price of Nasdaq on the market. So this week, the first week of the September, we saw it grow all the way to 15,600, almost getting to 15,000, 700 there, so that it can break the record of the year. And now we saw again depreciating because of the GDP of China, how the GDP actually grow in terms of China. The other news that comes past week, not past week. I think it was day before yesterday. This week, yeah. The other big news that comes, it was WTI. WTI and Brent oil actually reaches to the mark of $90 per barrel, which is the last time it was a $90 per barrel, $100 per barrel. It was around 2002, 2001 during the COVID-19. So we saw different, price changing in terms of petrol, in terms of the diesel. It's because of, the rise of the crude oil to $90 per barrel. The reason why there was actually a meeting between China and Russia and Saudi Arabia regarding the oil. I remember the speech of the chair of OPEC, which is one of the biggest company producing the oil in the world, was talking about setting up the price uh, by expecting the volatility that will come in the next quarter, which is the 3 months from September, October to November. So they're setting up the higher price, right? So that when the price is dropping, when the volatility kicks and start pushing the price all the way down, now they already make a little bit of profit. So that drop, it won't affect them that much. They'll be already capture so much profit by then. So that's actually what has been, in terms of the global financial market and global news. But when it comes to forex markets, what we actually do, the from Monday, we actually Monday we didn't have that much of news. There was Swiss franc having the GDP. We saw the volatility from US chief, Euro USD. There was also bank holidays from Canada and the US, so it wasn't that much of volatility in terms of Monday for US instruments. But when it comes to Tuesday, that's where we see China having the Caixin PMI service. We saw also Australian dollar having the cash rate statement, which is drives the Australian dollar versus Canadian or US Australian dollar versus Japanese yen. And the China news one, we're looking into the China H, JP225, Hong Kong 50, to those who actually participate in the forex market. On Wednesday, there was a Canadian dollar and the US dollar news. Canadian, it was overnight rate. The US, it was ISM service PMI. And it actually drives the market. The PMI is actually, it's the business that reacted quickly to the market condition and their purchase. It manages and hold perhaps the most current and the relevant insight into the company view of the economy, right? So that we saw the indices like USDT, NAS 100, S&P 500, the US index actually, moving, having high impact volatility on Wednesday. On Thursday, which was yesterday, we anticipated and saw the CPI from China, Chinese CPI and Chinese PPI. Producer price index and consumer price index are actually dropped yesterday. So to those that they were looking on a JP225, Japanese 225 for Chinese industrial, which is Chinese H, CN50, HK50, they could have seen a high impact in terms of volatility. The Euro JPY was having high impact of volatility as well because of the Eurozone and Chinese instrument. So Thursday later on the US, there was an employment claim. It was very, very interesting to see the impact of volatility that brings that unemployment claim. So unemployment remains crucial for gauging economic health. It links the consumer spending and heavily influence monetary decisions. That decision, it actually affects the indices like NAS 100, US 30, S&P 500, the dollar index, as well as gold as well. So today, as the last day of the market, there's a couple of things that we're going to see in terms of the high impact volatility news. We're looking at Canadian dollar around 2:30 p.m. It's employment change, unemployment rate. That means they are actually preparing the CPI of Canada. And again on 2:30, let's look at on US CAD, Canadian Chief, CAD JPY. Those are the instruments they're gonna actually have a higher impact of volatility. The other news from China that comes today, it's CNI news loans. I think I just heard from CNBC to say that the home loans, the first time home loans in China have been actually dropped the interest rate percentage. That means if the first time that you bought the house in China, the percentage that they've been hiking due to uncertainty of the dollar or expecting to go to inflation or to go to inflation has actually started to drop down, which is very, very interesting, very, very good. We wish it can happen, some of the countries like here in South Africa to help the housing bond and the housing economy so that it can be better. So yeah, that's it. That's actually how the market has been happening from the end of August to the first week of September. We're gonna be doing this more often. So wish everyone to be live next time so that you can be able to catch us live. Thank you very much for tuning in. You are with Yusuf. This is the Daily Money Market.